There are people whose strength is not explained by logic. They attract dangers, temptations, and trials, but always emerge victorious. Their energy is sharp as a blade. Their actions are unpredictable, and their desires are sometimes darker than night. And all because from birth, demons, not angels, walk next to them, not in the form of evil, but in the form of strength, power, and influence. This patronage of ancient shadows is not a punishment, but a gift that not everyone can handle. In this video, you will find out which 5 signs of the zodiac live under the cover of demonic forces. They do not have an ordinary fate, but a path where temptation, power, intuition, and inner darkness are intertwined into one whole. We will analyze what is unique about them, what abilities they receive from this union, and how this affects relationships, careers, and even the choice of friends. If you feel that the world is too flat for your depth, stay with us. Subscribe to the channel if you want to know more than what is written in ordinary horoscopes. Here they say what others do not dare to voice. Write in the comments which sign you consider the most dangerous, and check if your intuition matches the ancient knowledge. The first sign is Taurus. Taurus lives all his life under surveillance, which cannot be explained by ordinary laws of logic. His path seems slow, material, verified, but behind this facade there is a deep, almost occult connection with one of the most ancient entities. The name of this demon is Mammon. He is not a fierce destroyer or a chaotic spirit. Mammon is the lord of material prosperity, temptations, financial power, and accumulation. It is he who leads Taurus through life, pushing him to decisions that always give results, especially in money. The connection between Taurus and Mammon is not accidental. This demon, unlike others, does not require chaos or destruction. His field is order, stability, greed, precise calculation. That is why Taurus, even without knowing where his ability to sense advantageous moments comes from, always ends up in the right place. He may not be ambitious, but under his steps, everything turns into a result. He does not like risks, but his caution always works to his advantage. This is the influence of Mammon, a demon who does not give quick successes, but builds stable systems where wealth flows steadily. The peculiarity of Taurus is the ability to turn any idea into a material result. This is not inspiration. This is structured magic. He is able to feel where exactly to invest his strength so as not to waste it. Even when others are losing resources, Taurus seems to know in advance what to do. Mammon does not just patronize. He gives the ability to see weak points in financial systems, build effective structures, and recognize energy leaks. But this connection has a downside. Mammon requires a balance between desire and control. Taurus can become obsessed with material things, losing the taste for life. And if he begins to absorb rather than create, the demon's influence becomes destructive. Then his wealth turns into an attachment and stability into a vicious circle. Mammon does not tolerate weakness in control over resources. And if Taurus loses his limits, he loses not only his property, but also his energy, health, and environment. This is the price of patronage. However, if Taurus maintains discipline, follows his goal without fanaticism, but with respect for order, Mammon becomes a source of incomparable power. He opens passages to worlds where money is not just paper, but an instrument of influence. He gives the ability to subjugate space, to build processes that work for Taurus even without his participation. This is a passive power that cannot be evaded. Everything connected with land, real estate, raw materials, structures, becomes a zone of magnetic influence of Taurus. Moreover, Mammon also influences relationships. Taurus, controlled by this demon, can attract people, resources, and circumstances that look like random gifts of fate. But behind each such gift, there is a subtle play of energies. This sign does not say out loud what it feels, but inside it, there is always a mechanism for reading benefits, prospects, and dangers. All this is part of the ancient agreement between the sign of Taurus and the demon of material superiority. Taurus may not even believe in mysticism, but it always notices. If you want it, reality bends. If you concentrate, finances start moving. It knows how to manage not numbers, but the energy of money. And this is not education, not training, not strategy. This is an internal system given to you by Mammon before birth. The task of Taurus is not to betray this gift, not to turn it into an instrument of greed, but to use it as a force to strengthen its power, order, and protect its borders. Taurus is not just a sign of stability. It is a gateway to energy density, where every step has consequences. And under the patronage of Mammon, this sign is capable not only of wealth, but also of creating invincible material empires. The only question is whether he will maintain the purity of his intentions or allow Mammon to turn his wealth into a trap. The second sign is Libra. For representatives of this sign, their whole life is built around balance. But few know that this balance is imposed, not chosen. Libra lives under the invisible control of an ancient demon named Marbaz, whose specialty is to manage doubt, duality, and internal conflict. Marbaz does not destroy, he shuffles. He skillfully replaces truth with interpretation and choice with illusion. It is because of his influence that Libra is rarely categorical. It is difficult for them to make a final decision, but at the same time, they see what is inaccessible to others: nuances, halftones, contradictions. Marbaz gives them the power of diplomacy, the ability to persuade, incline, convince. But all this is accompanied by a price, an eternal internal bifurcation. From an early age, Libra feels that they are being watched. Sometimes this manifests itself in the form of inexplicable luck, when a decision is postponed and suddenly the situation resolves itself, as if someone intervened. At other times, through obsessive dreams, an inner voice that does not stop and always offers an alternative. Marbaz does not frighten, it seduces. Its power over Libra is expressed in the ability to push them to a dangerous balance between good and evil, forcing them to be in a borderline state where there are no final answers, but only options. In the sphere of career and money, Libra, under its influence, often plays the role of a mediator, advisor, analyst. Marbaz provides them with the gift of precise formulations, verbal flexibility, the ability to manage even aggressive opponents. It makes them indispensable in negotiations, in legal and political matters, but at the same time draws them into situations where morality becomes too flexible. Libra can easily find themselves drawn into intrigues, corporate conspiracies, manipulations, and not always realizing whose side they took. Marbaz does not require oaths. It works through neutrality, which replaces the will. In love, the patron demon makes Libra attractive and inaccessible at the same time. Marbaz enhances their charisma, enveloping softness, desire for harmony, but adds one important feature: emotional inconstancy. Because of this, Libra's relationships are rarely simple. Marbaz keeps them in a state of doubt, even in the most sincere feelings. He creates situations in which Libra cannot say yes and is not ready to say no. This is an eternal trap in which feelings fall apart. Those born under this sign often do not realize that their behavior is directed. Marbaz does not act directly. It penetrates thought processes, fears, expectations. Its strength is in subtlety. It does not destroy, it leads astray. Sometimes, under its influence, Libra is capable of destroying what they valued simply because they believed in another option. And yet Marbaz is not an enemy. It does not destroy, it tests. It makes Libra dangerously smart, intellectually armed, able to lead, but at the cost of their own inner peace. If Libra recognizes this influence and learns to use duality as a tool, not a weakness, Marbaz will open up access to a rare resource, the ability to influence the course of events in an invisible way. This is the art of persuasion, the magic of words, the power of intonation. But once you lose your balance, the demon turns you into an instrument of chaos. This is the curse and gift of Libra. To always live on the scales between yours and someone else's, truth and lies, choice and inaction. Marbaz stays close as long as they can see both sides. The third sign is Gemini. Gemini are born under the internal conflict of duality, and it is this feature that from the first days of life attracts to them an entity named Floreti, a demon of deception, strategy, and intellectual influence. He does not appear suddenly, he does not make a puppet out of Gemini. His strength is in the proposal, in temptation, in logic. Floreti never commands. He prompts, whispers at the right moment, directs to non-standard solutions that others would not dare to take on. He does not demand worship. He demands attention to detail. Since childhood, representatives of this sign feel a certain intellectual detachment. They absorb information faster. They see more in words than just meanings. They feel where the weak point of any interlocutor is. It is through this ability that Floreti introduces his tools. Gemini begin to use words as weapons, intonations as keys, silence as a means of pressure. All this seems natural. In fact, it is a demon that gives control through communication. Floreti does not bring destruction, it leads to power. It opens Gemini access to unconventional thinking, teaches how to get out of situations where everyone else is lost. It gives the ability to see the structure of systems in order to use them later. Under the patronage of this demon, talented manipulators, strategists, politicians, brilliant lawyers, and negotiators are born. Their brain works several steps ahead. Their speech is not just fast, it hypnotizes. Periods of Floreti's special activity in the life of Gemini coincide with moments of choice. When you need to decide who to betray and who to support. When the question is, to tell the truth or to play. When the outcome depends on one move. That is when the demon activates its power, and Gemini makes moves that later shock everyone. They survive where others perish. They win in negotiations where there is no logic, but there is rhythm and tempo. Their mind is like a blade, sharp, but flexible. Floreti does not protect. He provokes. He pushes Gemini to the edge, social, moral, intellectual. He teaches to act contrary, one step ahead, on the edge of what is permitted. Thanks to him, Gemini can penetrate the consciousness of other people without violence, simply through the right choice of words and expressions. Their strength is precision. Their control is the speed of reaction. Their influence is calculation, disguised as ease. The peculiarity of this union is that Floreti does not require Gemini to blindly follow. He suggests, and they choose. And the more often they choose non-standard, risky, smart paths, the more power they gain. It is Gemini who often find themselves in the center of events, not because they strived for it, but because they knew how to enter correctly, how to control attention, how to take without violence. Fluidity does not destroy, he strengthens. But the price is a constant game in which losing is excluded, because it leads to a loss of control. Geminis know losing is not an option. The fourth sign is Aquarius. Aquarius is born with a distorted perception of the structure of the world. Its internal coordinate system never coincides with the generally accepted one. This independence and rejection of banality attracts a patron named Leviathan, a demon of chaos, new thinking, and rejection of traditions. He does not manifest himself as a threat. He forms an alternative. It is through him that Aquarius becomes the bearer of ideas that are decades ahead of their time. Leviathan does not give knowledge, he gives perception. From an early age, representatives of this sign feel inconsistency. What is considered normal causes rejection in them. Their thinking is non-linear, their reaction is paradoxical, their behavior cannot be explained. This is not a rebellion, but a structure imposed by the patron. Leviathan builds into the consciousness of Aquarius key points through which the worldview is formed. He does not break, he rebuilds. He opens access to concepts that are inaccessible to others. Hence, a constant feeling of loneliness, isolation, but also deep freedom. Aquariuses with this patronage often become architects of the new. They do not simply create ideas, they destroy old thinking. Their words may seem absurd, their projects crazy, but time passes and everything becomes clear. They were the first. Their ideas are a shift. Their decisions are the destruction of the outdated. All this is the work of Leviathan, who inspires, the world must be different. He does not demand destruction for the sake of destruction. He demands transformation, through intuition, through violation of logic, through rejection of patterns. This is why Aquarius often does things that defy explanation, but turn out to be fateful. He leaves when everyone stays. He is silent when everyone talks. He acts when others are numb. Because he is not led by logic, but by an internal rhythm unleashed by a demon. Leviathan does not manifest himself directly. He creates an event zone around Aquarius, in which chaos, instability, and challenge always arise. He tests for strength, and the more Aquarius maintains independence, the more power it gets. Its patron does not provide protection, it gives zeroing. It makes you go through crises to reach a new level. And every time Aquarius endures, it gets a leap in development, a leap in influence, a leap in depth. The power of this patronage is in its absolute incompatibility with the norm. Aquarius is not capable of being ordinary, and this is precisely its strength. Its patron enhances everything unusual, transforms fear into a breakthrough, isolation into uniqueness. And the further it moves from the generally accepted, the closer it is to power. Leviathan does not impose, he expands. But he requires one thing, to abandon the usual thinking. And Aquarius does this with ease, because its nature is to create what has not yet existed. The fifth sign of Pisces. This zodiac sign is endowed with a special type of internal duality from birth. It seems to live in two worlds at the same time, in the world of people and in the world of shadows. Its invisible guides from childhood are entities that do not need rituals of invocation or blood to show their influence. Pisces is the only sign whose energy structure is tuned to absorb information from astral channels of demonic origin. This is not an obsession or submission. This is an ancient union concluded not at the level of will, but at the level of the origin of the soul. The patron of Pisces since time immemorial is considered to be Amiel, the demon of internal movement, the lord of endless self-analysis, one of the guardians of the gates between the personality and the true essence. Amiel does not appear openly. He shapes the path of Pisces through doubts, through mirrors, through the unconscious. All life cycles of this sign pass under the pressure of not external circumstances, but internal crises created by the presence of the demon observer. Pisces do not suspect that their ability to sacrifice and dissolve is a consequence of the influence of Amiel, who feeds on the borderline states of human consciousness. The second, no less significant demon is Selimar. His name is almost never mentioned in esoteric treatises, but among the true bearers of knowledge, he is known as the one who controls the energy of expectation. Selimar slows down the pace of Pisces' life, forcing them to live in the illusion of wrong time. He clouds perception, creates internal inertia, but at the same time opens access to a paradoxical state, when the slow flow of events gives birth to true depth. It is under his influence that Pisces acquire the ability to have a premonition, to compose, to have deep empathy. He enhances their imagination, making thoughts stronger than actions. Aquarius also acts alongside them, the demon of hidden pleasures, associated with sensory perception and mild forms of addiction. He does not destroy, but is embedded in everyday trifles in order to control the attention of Pisces through them. Too much time spent in comfort, too much indulgence towards other people's weaknesses are the consequences of its influence. Aquarius does not allow Pisces to free themselves from the need to dissolve in others, to feed on emotional currents, to neglect their own boundaries. He also inspires art, music, poetry, in which not words, but vibrations sound. All three demons are not hostile. They did not come to destroy and do not demand worship. Their patronage is a form of complex energetic connection. Pisces are not chosen. They are connected. This connection makes them complex, unpredictable, intuitive, sometimes detached. They feel more than they can explain. Their magic is in silence, in pauses, in a look that goes deep. This is not an accident. This is the result of many years of work of astral influences aimed at making Pisces a vessel through which hidden streams seep into the world. Under the influence of Amiel, Selimar, and Aquarius, Pisces become not mediums, but filters. They do not transmit messages. They absorb them and transform them into emotions, dreams, desires. This is where their constant fatigue comes from, their desire to hide, to be invisible. Demons do not require visibility. It is important for them that the carrier remains in the shadows, so that the force that he carries is not recognized. Therefore, many Pisces feel out of place since childhood. This uncertainty is a consequence of the presence of someone else's will inside. But someone else's will is not hostile, it is structuring. When Pisces choose solitude, they do not run away from people, they return to their home. This is their natural form of being. It is in solitude that the channels of communication with demonic patrons are activated. It is there that real transformations occur. Words spoken out loud do not bring power to Pisces. Power is in the feeling that cannot be expressed. This is their nature, to be a mouthpiece for the unspoken, a face for the unmanifested, a breath of the otherworldly. Every moment of Pisces' life is under internal control. They never feel completely free. because freedom requires separation, and Pisces is a sign of fusion. Demons do not control actions, but create a field in which these actions occur. They form roots, cut off unnecessary connections, push towards those who carry the same vibration. Pisces do not choose the path. The path chooses them, under the influence of those who eternally accompany them. No ritual can remove this influence. No prayer can cancel the connection. Demons did not invade the life of Pisces. They were originally in their structure. This is not a contract, not a curse, not a burden. This is an energetic nature, encrypted in the date of birth and in the structure of the soul. Pisces do not belong to the light and do not belong to Chipcha.